course, I can write you a scary story based on a true event. This story took place many years ago in an old castle on the deserted coast of the Kingdom of England. It was a place where something very mysterious and terrifying took place. On the day the story began, a strong gust of wind was blowing and the sky was dark with heavy rain clouds. A young man named Thomas was approaching the coast in this bad weather. Thomas was an adventurer who sought out old castles and abandoned places. He found a mysterious rumor about an abandoned castle on this coast and decided to investigate it. When Thomas finally arrived at the location, the castle seemed abandoned and neglected. The walls were broken, the windows were covered with a thick layer of dust, and there was a strange chill in the air. He decided to enter and explore this mysterious castle. As he stepped inside, he felt a strange coolness come over the man, as if a great celebration had been held here yesterday. He was lighting his way with a flashlight because the windows were covered in darkness. He made his way through the narrow corridors, which were surrounded by old portraits and used pieces of furniture. Thomas heard strange noises coming from one of the bedrooms. He opened the door to find old beds covered in dust and cobwebs. At that moment, a chill ran down his spine because an old journal was lying on one of the beds. Thomas took it in his hand and began to read. The diary belonged to someone named Edward, who once owned this castle. The diary entries described the strange and terrifying events that took place here. According to the diary, the castle became a place where secret rites and dark rituals took place. Thomas discovered that Edward was a seasoned member of a secret society that hid its dark activities from the public. One of the last pages of the diary described the sacrifice and dark rites that took place in the cellar of the castle. Thomas decided he had to find this cellar and investigate it. He continued through the corridors and finally arrived at the cellar door. When he opened them, he saw a strange apparition. There were vertical spikes in the room and chains from which they hung from behind. The walls were covered with strange symbols, and the floor was littered with skulls and other strange objects. At that moment, Thomas began to feel uncomfortable, as if someone was watching him. He turned to find himself alone in the room. That's when he spotted the creature described in Edward's journal. It was a dark and intangible creature that moved without a distinct body. The creature started wandering around Thomas and suddenly surrounded him. He felt his pulse begin to rise, and he didn't know how to fight back. He tried to escape, but the creature kept following him. It was as if he was drawn into a dark dimension where time and space lost their meaning. After what seemed like a lifetime, Thomas found himself back in the cellar. The creature disappeared, and Thomas suddenly felt exhausted and cold. He decided that he must leave this castle and never come back. When he got outside, the castle was quiet and empty, as if nothing had happened. However, Thomas was sure that he had witnessed something inexplicable and dark. He withdrew from the castle and made his way away. Thomas never knew the truth of what happened in that old castle, but his encounter with the creature and his reading of Edward's journal haunted him for the rest of his life. The castle on the coast is still considered abandoned, but its dark secrets remain shrouded in mystery and eerie silence.